Hello friends, it's Shan here. Welcome back to Golf with Shan. In today's video, I am taking you with me to a long overdue practice day at the range and the short game area. Essentially, I have been just booking a tee time and then going to the golf course, and I don't actually practice. Instead, I try to fix things on the golf course, which I do not recommend. Don't do that. I know a lot of you watching this do that, myself included. If you watched my previous video, I did get my putter re-gripped. So the new grip I got on my putter is the Super Stroke 2.0. Hopefully you guys can see that. I love this color. It's like a chrome and white color, and it goes really well because the whole putter is white. And you can see it's a little bit worn down from years of use. The old grip that I had on this putter had worn down to nothing. It was a grip that came with TaylorMade putter, and it was a much thinner grip. Here is the head cover. I don't have the grip anymore. Golf Town threw it out when they replaced it. But here is the old head cover. You can see how worn down it is. The grip was in even worse condition than this. It was due for a re-grip. I tried this one, the Super Stroke 2.0, and I love it. It's really thick, but it's so comfortable and it just feels so good on my hands. My boyfriend is thinking of re-gripping his putter to this grip as well. It's not sponsored. I went to Golf Town, I had it swished, and I'm in love with it. The thing with getting a new grip though is because this grip is like twice as thick as the old one, it's made the putter, one, heavier, and two, the weight distribution's changed. So before there was more weight on the head and less weight at the grip area, and now because this grip is so much bigger, there is more weight here. And so that's something that I really need to get used to. When I took it straight from Golf Town to the golf course, again without practicing, I was hitting every putt too far. And I think part of that is just because the putter is just a little bit heavier, and so my natural feel for the putt is letting it run out like 4 feet instead of 1 feet or less like I usually want it to be. I really like this grip, so I'm really excited to get used to this. The other thing is you guys saw this head cover, so I got a new head cover from Amazon and I wanted to show you guys. I will link it down below. It's not sponsored. I bought it on Amazon. It's pretty affordable. It's really good quality. The inside is this like plushy coral color. This is totally like me. It's girly, it's tropical, and the magnet is really strong here. I think it's a good replacement for whatever this is at this point. And I'm ready. All right, let's head out to the golf course and we'll get started with the practice session. Hopefully if you are newer to golf, this video will also be very helpful to you. Let's go.
First up, we stopped at Firehouse Subs and I grabbed the New York Steamer. This is really delicious. It's my first time there. Highly recommend. All right, let's head over to the range. I like to start off a practice session with a large bucket at the range. We are currently at the Lionhead Golf Club practice area, and they do have a grass range, which is actually pretty nice, although not in the perfect condition, but good enough. So I like to start off with my pitching wedge. I have PXG iron, so it actually says W, but it's the same thing as a pitching wedge from a different brand. So with the pitching wedge, I start off with some 3/4 swings. Sometimes I will start off with a half swing, like a extended pitch shot. That's just for me to feel the ball at impact and working on the most important part of your swing, which is the bottom half when your club makes contact with the ball. And for this video, I am showing you guys every single shot that I hit on the range, including the ones that I just hit really fat or almost top it. You're seeing it all. It's a process. Not every shot's going to be perfect. But for every iron, I do go through all of my clubs from pitching wedge to driver. For every iron, I like to end on a good full swing shot. Next up, I am hitting 9-iron, and same thing, I'm gonna start off with not quite a full swing, more of a 3/4 swing, and I'll make sure that I get the correct impact, and then I will move on to hitting a few full swing shots until I get a good full swing that I'm happy with. So one thing I've been working on across all of my clubs for my golf swing is loading up into my back hip. Since I am right-handed, that would be my right hip. So on my back swing, sometimes I only turn my upper body and my shoulders, and I forget to turn my hips as well, and as a result my shoulders are trying to come under my chin and my head lifts up. So instead, actually rotating a little bit more into my back hip, I am actually keeping my head more steady. And then the other thing is I have to remember to also accelerate back into my front hip so that I don't hit the ball right or hit it really fat. The smallest change to your golf swing will feel so dramatic, so it's always good to practice at the golf range before making these changes on the golf course. Random fun fact, but the 8-iron is actually my favorite iron to hit. And for longer irons, sometimes when I get intimidated, I will tell myself that I am actually hitting an 8-iron to trick my brain, and then I'll hit a good like 6 or 5-iron. So yeah, anyways, right now I am hitting my 7-iron. If you don't have a lot of time to practice, if it's a short range session, I would still recommend starting with a pitching wedge, and then instead of bringing all of your irons, bring your 7-iron. This is a good middle of the pack iron to practice with. It's also the iron that a lot of the time you'll get to hit for fittings and for testing out new irons. Last one in the iron category, this is my 5-iron. I do have to practice the 5-iron, although I absolutely do not like hitting it. I find that I still get some good shots with the 5-iron, but I'm usually surprised when I do hit a good shot. Longer irons are more difficult to hit. For women, a lot of women will not carry anything higher than a 5-iron. A lot of women's sets will stop at a 6-iron, and that's totally fine. People do prefer hitting hybrids or even shorter woods, so like a 7 or 9 wood is common nowadays. So it's whatever you prefer. I do like having a 5-iron. I just need to get over the mental block of hitting it. Let's talk about the hybrid. This is a club that I've had good days with. Sometimes I don't have such good days. It's kind of an in-between an iron and a wood, and I've thought about replacing it with a 7 wood, but I'm not ready to purchase a new club yet. I was actually hitting it pretty good at the range this day. I think my only swing thought is I tried to keep the ball not as far forward, and I imagine that I am actually hitting an iron, and that seems to work for me. So one thing I will say is when I'm addressing the ball for any shot on the range or on the golf course, I try to limit my swing thoughts to 1 or 2, maximum 2 for me. If you are brand new to golf and you just got a lot of instructions, I would still say limit your swing thoughts to 1 or 2. Think about 1 or 2 things at a time. If there's any more than that, you're just gonna psych yourself out, and it's also not good to just stand over a ball for more than like 3 seconds before hitting it. For woods, especially the 3-wood, when I'm hitting it off the deck, so not teed up, ball on the ground, I have one swing thought, and that is on the takeaway. So right after I address the ball, I like to have the club glide on the ground as far as possible, very little wrist movement, and that allows me to have a wider swing for the woods, and it really helps for me to actually hit the ball, and I rarely top it. Driver time. If you've been watching my vlogs, you will see I've been pushing my driver to the right a lot, and growing up, driver has always been a baby draw for me. Ever since I got this new PXG club, I've been hitting the driver right, and so that's something that I wanted to focus on this day. I don't mind if the ball goes straight and it has a little bit of a fade, but when it just pushes right like this, or if I hit a big slice, that's not good on the golf course. What I realized was because I've been loading up into my back hip, I do have to accelerate and turn through a bit faster so that the club face is still coming through square. You can almost see the progression of the ball going right, and then at this shot, I figured it out, guys. I figured it out, and it went exactly straight. I'm putting him on the spot here because I think this will be helpful for a lot of you watching. First off, in my personal opinion, he has an excellent swing for someone who's never had formal golf lessons. So let's hype him up in the comments. What we were working on here is actually the stance and the alignment. Personally, I think those are one of the most important things with your golf swing, and that's before you even take the swing. So let's talk about alignment. For a middle short iron, like an 8-iron, you want the ball to be in the middle of your stance. And one thing we noticed for him was the ball was actually closer to his front feet. So what I did was put an alignment stick down that is exactly perpendicular to your target. And then when you address the ball, make sure you have one foot on either side and the ball is actually in the middle. He was actually aiming right at the trees when he was trying to aim a little bit left of the trees. So this is something that you will just visually have to adjust, and it's gonna feel like you're aiming way left if you make just the slight adjustment from right to center. And that's just something that we all have to work on, including myself. After a while, if no one is telling me that I'm aiming straight, I will adjust off center, and I think that's just a common issue across the board. So something to take note of, and definitely something to work on your next time at the golf range. Over to short game, we're going to start off with chipping. For me, the biggest thing I need to work on is just distance control with the chips. I have a pretty good hand and club feel for chipping, and so I'm not too worried about that. It's really just distance control for me. I did make a video on the best chipping lesson I've ever gotten. It was from a LPGA coach, and she taught me like the simplest way to chip, and it has changed my game forever. I still chip like that lesson I got from her. I will link that video in the corner cards here and also in the description section down below, so go ahead and check that out. This chipping green, we are at Lionhead. If you know about this chipping green, it has a bunker on the side and the green slopes really hard from the white pin to the red pin. So we were kind of just figuring out the slope here, and you almost have to chip it out to the center of the green and just watch it roll down slowly. Basically, we just went around the screen, tried a few different chips, some shorter chips, some longer chips, even some flop shots before heading over to the putting green. Final part of the practice is putting. So I like to start with a 6 to 7 feet pretty straight putt. This putt actually does go left to right, so that wasn't the perfect example here, but you want to find a pretty straight uphill putt and put 2 tees at just a little bit wider than your club head, so that forces you to hit the center of the club face. That's very important. You don't want your club face to come in closed or open, and you don't want any side spin on the ball. So for example, these few putts at the start, I was hitting it club face open and a little bit of a side spin, so that's not super good. One thing I did change on the following ones was I tried to keep my elbows in closer to my body, and that eliminated some micro movements that can shift the club face, because putting is just so sensitive. So that was a small change that I made. And also, if you noticed, I went back to conventional grip and overlap, right hand at the bottom and left hand on top. So after I get a feel for that straight putt with the 2 tees around my club face, I try to hit a few putts from longer distances of different distances. So as you guys know, with my new putter grip, the putter has gotten heavier, and so I really need to just practice distance control, how hard I need to hit a putt that's say 12 feet, 30 feet, 25 feet, just going to different holes, different lengths, testing it out. And last and most importantly, make sure you practice your short putts. When you're playing with your friends, yes, sometimes we just joke, oh, that's good, and then you pick it up. But it's still good to practice your 3-footers, your 4-footers, your 5-footers. So this is a very standard drill that everyone's talked about. Put your balls in a circle at 3 feet. Make sure you make every single one before you can move on to 4 feet. Make sure you make every single one, and then you can move on to 5 feet, and so on. And if you miss one, you have to start all over again on the circle. Even though I'm not playing in tournaments, I'm sure a lot of you watching are not, it's still good practice to finish up all of your putts on the golf course. that's a wrap on the practice session. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit that thumbs up button. Subscribe if you haven't already. Let me know in the comments what you like to do for your practice sessions. Do you just hit the range? Do you putt? Do you whatever you do? Let me know in the comments. I will see you in my next video. Bye!